So good afternoon, everyone. Today we will discuss the writing empirical formula. Now in here, you have a picture of what is a molecular formula and empirical formula. So based here, we can say that the molecular formula is taken from the empirical formula. When you say empirical, siya ang pinaka-least. So, naara na siya factor nga multiply nimo sa empirical formula to make your molecular formula. So, writing empirical formula. In chemistry, the empirical formula of a chemical compound is the simplest positive integer ratio of atoms present in a compound. It is a chemical formula showing the simplest ratio of elements in a compound rather than the total number of atoms in the molecule. A simple example of this concept that the empirical formula of sulfur monoxide. So sulfur monoxide is the empirical formula of sulfur monoxide, but its molecular formula, kung imo siya times 2, then it becomes S2O2, which we call as disulfur dioxide. Then, an empirical formula makes no mention of the arrangement of numbers of the atom. It is standard for many ionic compounds like calcium chloride, like this. So, this is already an empirical formula. And for macromolecules such as silicon dioxide. So let's go to the rules in determining the empirical formula. So not determining, but writing. Kindly check it. Hindi siya determining, but writing the empirical formula. So first, let us assume that our compound has a volume of 100 ml, or has not a volume, but a mass of 100 grams. So convert the percent composition in terms of mass. Second, express the mass into molecules. Third, determine the smallest whole number ratio for each atom by dividing the mole of each element to the least number of moles obtained. Next, the ratios obtained in the calculations are the subscript in the formula to represent the mole ratio. If the values obtained are not whole number, multiply by a factor to make all moles calculate to simple whole numbers. The product may have a difference of at least positive or negative 0.1 from the nearest whole number. So say for example, what is the empirical formula of vitamin C? Which the following percent by mass composition, with the following percent by mass composition: 40.9% carbon, 4.58% hydrogen, and 54.52% of oxygen. So first solution is convert the percent composition in terms of mass. So if we assume that our kilogram, our mass is 100 grams. So say for example, let's go to our whiteboard. So say for example, 100 grams times, pila to ka percent? Times 40.9%. So times 40.9%. What is the answer? So percent will become 0. Saan naman na? Undo sabi. 0.49. So from 40%, it becomes 0.49. 409. Mawala ng percent. So 100 grams times 0.409, the answer is 40.9, and the unit grams. So, para mas madali ta, dili na ta magsige og solve, we can directly rewrite it and replace the percent sign into grams. So 40.9% of carbon to 40.9 grams of carbon. Then 4.58% of hydrogen to 4.58 grams of hydrogen. 54.52% of oxygen to 54.52 grams of oxygen. Any question in this step? Any question in this step?
No, ma'am.
None. None,
Yes,
ma'am.
very good. So let's proceed to the next step. The next step is express the mass into moles. So, iba na naman tayo mole, diri ka last time. Tara, mass into moles. So first is we determine the molar mass. The mass times the inverse of molar mass to get the number of moles. So when we go back there, so we have already the mole of carbon, which is 12.01, the mole of molar mass of hydrogen, which is 1.008, and then the molar mass of oxygen, which is 16.00. So we have the mass times the inverse of the molar mass to get the number of moles. So we have 40.9 grams times 1 mole, we automatically have 1 here. Kay, kuan man na siya, whole number man ang 12.01. So, ang denominator niya na 1. So, kay ato mag-inverse si 1 na siya ron sa taas. So, 1 mole over 12.01 grams. So, divide, we have 3.40 mole. We only cater to decimal places. So, wala pagdagan kayo siya decimal places, disregard the others. Just have 2 decimal places. Then, mole of hydrogen, 4.58 grams times 1 mole over 1.008 grams, which is 4.54 mole. Then 54.52 grams times 1 mole over 16.00 grams. The answer is 3.41 mole. Next step. Determine the smallest whole number ratio for each atom by dividing the mole of each element to the least number of moles obtained. So in here, the least number obtained is 3.40 mole. So kani sila tanan nga mole, i-divide natog 3.40. That is our third step. So we have 3.40 divided by 3.40 is equal to 1. 4.45 mole divided by 3.40 mole is 1.31. Pag 1 ra gani siya, pwede na nimo dili siya butang og 0.00 o pwede pod butang nimo 0.001. Just like what I did here. So if you have 3.41 mole divided by 3.41, so basta matingala mo naman ay point, ma'am. Yes, na siya point, pero dili na kanang na sense ang iyang kuan. Ako sa ang igawas ang calculator ha. Para akong i-share. So we have 3.41 divided by 3.40. The answer is 1.00, and then since 2, 1.00 na lang gid kay duha ra man kay decimal place ang ato ang i-cater. So 1.00 reduce siya, so just equivalent to 1. So going back, so that's why we have 1.00, or we just simply write it 1. Any question on this step?
Pero ma'am, og kuan ma'am kanang naadyo kasunod like dili lang siya 00 dayon anana.
Kung
decimal
mahimo
places
siyang
kani.
1.001, cater lang siya kaya atong difference naman nga kailangan kay 0.1 dira, di ba? Pero kung pareha ani 1.31 kung i-minus unsay nearest whole number niya, di ba? 1. So kung ato siyang i-subtract, i-subtract na tong 1 minus 1 point, or baliktaron na to, undo, 1.31 minus 1, answer is 0.31, which is greater than 0.1. So, kaya ang allowed na to nga difference kay 0.1 raman. So, layo kayo siya. Manandili ni mo siya pwede ma-round off into 1. Isulat gid nimo ang 1.31. Unless ilang difference kay wala ra kabot og 0.1, then pwede nimo siya isulat to the next whole number. Say for example, 2.99. Diba para mahimo siyang 3, diba na lang sila difference nga palihog ko anang saba kaayo be mute 0.1 raman ang ilahang 0.01, which is less than the 0.1. So pwede ra nimo siya diretso isulat ang 3. Dili na nimo kailangan isulat ning 2.99. Or we have 2.91. And then that is near to, to siya round off, padulong gid siya og 3. So kung i-minus nimo siya, ang iyang difference is 0.09, which is still less than 0.1. So pwede ra nga diretso 3 imo isulat. Pero more than 0.1 gani isulat gid nimo ang number pareha ani niya. Nasabtan?
Pag equal, ma'am.
Pag equal di mas better, dili na ka maglibog. Diretso pareha ni niya o 1 ra man ni siya. 3.40 divided by 3.40 is equal to 1. So wala na kay problema ana niya. Dito ra ka ba problema pag mahimo siyang ingon ani. Kaya you have to subtract it to the nearest whole number if their difference exceeds 0.1. Pwede siya less than 0.1 or more than 0.1. Pero dili pwede mo lapas sa 0.1. So next, now we will write the subscript. So 1, C1, H1.3101. Now, di ba na to ginasulat gyud ang 1, di ba? So pwede na to siyang i-neglect. Pero kaning isa, kay dili na to pwedeng i-neglect. Why? Na siya 0.31. So unsa itong buhaton? Since natay decimal value, we multiply it by a factor. So pangitaan na to siya factor. Mag-start mag-multiply sa 2. Kung i-multiply na to si 1.31 times 2, may mo siyang 2.62. Which is, ang pinaka-nearest whole number niya is si 3. Kung i-multiply ni mo siya ay, kung i-minus si 3, kay 2.62, more than 0.1 ang iyang difference. So, ang nga multiply, subtract. So, kung i-subtract si 3 minus 2.62, the difference exceeds 0.1. So, dili siya pwede. Next, we proceed to 3. 3.31 times 3 is 3.93, which is ang pinaka-nearest niya nga ma-round off si 4. Kung i-subtract na to si 4 and si 3.93, the difference is only 0.07, which is less than 0.1. So therefore, the factor is 3. Since naka-determine tawag factor, dili lang kaning nag 1.3 atong multiplyan og 3, kundi silang tanan. So si 1 times 3, si 1.31 times 3, and si 1 here in oxygen times 3. So that's why you have C3H4 O3. This is now the empirical formula. But going back here, the question is just empirical formula. So we have arrived to our answer. But if in the question it says find the molecular formula, then our answer didn't end here. We have to go to the step number 6, which is finding the molecular formula. So in order to determine the molecular formula, we need to have our formula unit. How do we determine the formula unit? We divide the molar mass of the molecular formula and the molar mass of the empirical formula to get the formula unit. So say for example, diba vitamin C gihapon. The molar mass of vitamin C is, the molecular formula molar mass of vitamin C is 176 grams per mole. So, kaganina, we just determine ang iyahang mga iyahang mga tag-ani, iyahang mga molar masses. So, madiretso na ta, diri sa to ang empirical formula, it says na siya 3 ka-carbon. So, the molar mass of the carbon will be multiplied with 3. So, the total is 36.03 grams per mole. The molar mass of hydrogen will be multiplied by 4 so that your product becomes 4.032 grams per mole. Oxygen has 3 atoms in the empirical formula. So 16 times 3 is 48.00 grams per mole. Since we are going to determine the molar mass of this empirical formula, we add all of this. So we have a total of 88.062 grams per mole. And then, this is our empirical formula molar mass. Now, let's go to the formula unit. The formula unit has a formula of molar mass of the molecular formula divided by the molar mass of the empirical formula. So, plug in the values, 176 grams per mole, which is the molar mass of the molecular formula given in the problem, divided by 88.062 based on our calculations, grams per mole, the answer is 2.00 or 2. Now, in the event nga ang iyahang answer diri pareha bitaw aning sa taas nga ingon ani sobra siya og 0.1, gamiton gihapon nato ni siya nga concept to arrive into the simplest whole number. So, the same thing happens. Si empirical formula, i-multiply na itong 2. So, 3 times 2 becomes 6. 4 times 2 becomes 8. 3 times 2 again becomes 6. So, C6H8O6. So, this is the molecular formula of vitamin C. This is the molecular structure of vitamin C. The formula doesn't show how the atoms are connected with each other. It only shows how many atoms are there in the molecules. While in the molecular structure, it shows how the atoms are being connected with each other. What are the molecular geometry involves in their connection or in their bonding. Any question? None?
Ma'am, naghilo ko dito sa part nga
Nga?
katong dapat ang difference kay dili ay less than 0.1 or greater than, pero di siya mula pa sa 0.1.
Oo, nga naman.
Naghilo ko dira
Simple.
Paano pag
For example,
2.19?
Ano to? Kung iyahang difference, musubra gani siya og 0.1, therefore, mangita ka og factor niya i-multiply nimo. So, mag-start kag 2. Lisod po mag-start ka sa 1. Di ba nahitabo niya kay i-multiply raman niya mag 1. So, you will start with 2. Until makakita ka og product nga subtract nimo sa nearest whole number niya, dili kaabot or equal to 0.1. Nasabtan?
Ang minus niya, ma'am, kay ang, okay, dila ako nag,
So, di ba, ang yung
thank you, ma'am.
product, example, kani siya.
Yes, ma'am.
1.31 times 3 is 3.93. Di ba na siya whole number, pero duol siya sa 4, di ba? Kung i-round off nato ni siya, mahimo siyang 4. Now, kung i-minus nato siya, ang ilang difference kay 0.07, which is less than 0.1. So, pwede na to. Kani siya, instead of writing 9.93, you write 4. So, we use 3. Ano siya nga value ato i-carry. So, therefore, ang ato ang factor kay ay ato ang i-multiply sa ilaha kay gitawag nato na siya og formula unit kay 3. So, guys, even though si maskin pag si 1.31 lang ang wala na whole number, pero kay ato man siya gipangitaan nga ma-whole number siya, gi-multiply man nato siya 3, dili kay siya lang. Kay dili man siya inusara, part man siya sa isa ka molecule. Silang tanan natong i-multiply og 3. Right into our formula. Kinsa nang nag-feedback, palihog ko.
Kung 1.99, ma'am, then mahimo siyang 2 kay ang ano niya kay magiging ko ng 2 minus 0.01.
The same is applicable here, ha? The same is applied here. Dili siya dapat.
Naaning diri lang sa formula unit, ma'am.
Oh.
So, pagkuha
Pero
sa formula
kasagaran
unit, ma'am.
aning formula unit, musot gini siya whole number. Ang formula unit.
Ay, kana ma'am, kaya kung di-divide na ma'am kay 1.99, kung lagi mas-baseman. Ng 176 divided by
1.99. So,
88.
mas equal man siya sa 2. So, gamay raman kayo lang difference. Wakaabot og 0.1. So, that's why we have 2.00. For most of the time, they equal to a whole number. Mas di na kakailangan mag-solve pa. Pareha diri nga kailangan jud nimo i-solve kaning part. Imagine na din ha mga pagdesimal. So, any question?
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, katong question ni ma'am Rika, ma'am, katubitang 1 point. What if ma'am po, ma'am, 1.99 kanang pangitaan gyapon na mo siya og ma'am?
1.99, what is the nearest whole number?
2, ma'am.
You subtract the 1.99 to 2. What is your difference? What is the
Kuan, ma'am,
difference?
0.01, ma'am.
Is it greater than 0.1 or less than 0.1?
Less than, ma'am.
Is it an acceptable number or not? Acceptable siya or dili?
Acceptable ba, ma'am?
Acceptable siya kay less than man siya 0.1. Atong boundary, kibali dapat dili ka mo lapas og 0.1. Kanya ang imuhang difference nga nako ay 0.01. So layo ra kay sa 0.1. Di ba? Asa may dako 0.01 or 0.1?
0.01, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Ay, mas
Pag
gamay,
sure.
ma'am. Mas gamay, ma'am.
Oh, so akong pangutana kay mas dako. So kay
Ma'am,
wala siya
pag
nakaabot sa
2.90,
0.1, ha?
Pag 2.90,
So what is the difference?
0.1.
Sulod pa ba siya sa ato ang range? Dili na.
Sulo.
Sulod pa siya, dili na.
Naman sila, ma'am. Sa boundary.
Sabra kayo, ma'am.
Kinsa ron, palihog ko og off. Sulod pa siya sa atong boundary, dili na.
Equal siya sa
Kaya
boundary.
wala mo siya ning lapos.
Oh, kay it's either, di ba, less than or equal to. So kay less than or equal to man siya, so kung 0.1 siya, di okay pa. Walay problema.
0.1 ang ibutang, ma'am.
Anong 0.1 man? Ang whole number nga nearest sa iya, ha? Mo'y imong ibutang, dili ang 0.1. Kaya ang 0.1 boundary ra na nimo siya kung imo ba i-consider ang whole number ana.
3.
Oh, so kung 2.90 siya, so 3 imo ibutang.
Ah,
Sabtan?
okay. Okay po.
Okay, very good. 9 minutes na lang. Any question? So that you can answer now.
Na,
Yes.
na naman, ma'am.
Ha?
Wala. Ay, kuan, ma'am. Mga yun, dayan may kuan namin di. Mga gani.
Ha?
Mga yung kuan, ma'am, baka nang ilahang pagana. Ataw ni mas, ma'am, ba?
Ana
Kasi
na,
kung
given na
kanina,
na
adali sa
siya.
number 2 dito.
Given na na siya. Carbon, hydrogen, ug oxygen raman gihapon. Sulfur raman dira may
Dili,
pangitaon.
ma'am, sa kanina. Number 2, ma'am, ba?
Sa number 2, kaning si magnesium.
Si
Ako lang ibutang sa GC.
magnesium.
Ibutang lang na ako sa GC.
Sige, ma'am.
Palihog kog chat para ako
Yes, ma'am.
makuan
Yes,
ha.
ma'am.
And then announcement guys, please ko sa inyong mga modules. Kaya na ang parents, bitaw ina ninyo yung parents ba nga nakasegregate na siya by subject. Ayaw idiretso butang sa isa ka bangko. Na parehas may gani kay na nabantayan na tuwa day sa Filipino ang UCSP.
Ma'am, ako na donggan.
Palihog ko Rika imuhang mic ikuan sa Rika. Oh, kay ikaw nag-feedback girl. So parehas ni Kwan, parehas ni kinsa to, nga gibutang tanan sa iyang mama didto sa kanang Filipino ang Kwan, ang naka-yellow paper. So ipasabot intaw niya mama nga yellow paper ni lahi ni nga subject, lahi ni nga subject, lahi ni nga subject. Di ba gitagaan at among arrangement sa mga subject? So, dito pa lang, i-orient na sa inyong balay, inyong mama, nga mamo ni arrangement sa subject. Pag-abot dito, i-segregate na diretso. Kaya naka-arrange na ubutangin ninyo klaro nga subject. Kaya inyong mama, dili nila maklaro kung nila ibutang. Malibog pa sila. So, be organized, ha?
Ma'am, pwede isa niyo magbalik tong, ma'am, kanang na. Sunod sa subject, ma'am.
Okay, sige.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, that's all for this afternoon. Goodbye, everyone. If you have questions, you can chat me dito sa GC para isa na akong tubag. And then, lantawa lang, scroll up na lang din mo. Ha? So,
Lesson 3 ra.
goodbye,
Lesson
everyone.
3. Lesson
Yes, lesson 3.
Lesson 3 ba?
Yes. So, tomorrow,
Assessment, ma'am.
tomorrow we will have an online class for the organic chemistry. We cannot waste time. So, tomorrow for organic chemistry because Friday is holiday. So, we cannot have class during that time. Ha?
Apay ang assessment, ma'am, now?
Of course. Pag about gani siya sa kwan, about gani siya o kanang reagent or inside kwan, limiting reagent, ayun na lang yan si rate will be a bonus. Ha?
Okay na. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.